Hey, what's going on here? Welcome to a walkthrough of Hoxton Breakout. I'm going to kind of walk through this really with the perspective of somebody who's more of a generic player like myself. I'm not particularly great at stealth. I have a fair amount of stealth background, but I'm not great at it. So I figured that as I was kind of going through this, I was really struggling a bit with the mechanics of this and how we were presented them from a number of different sources going through. So to begin with here, we're getting on into it, and the first thing we're going to do is go to these 4 different panels. So you saw the initial panel that we went up to, basically showing us what color we need to flip on these breaker panels. Now there are 2 in the garage, and there's going to be 2 up top. This isn't going to be a redo. So in my last video, I did not shut off the cameras in the basement, and by clutting those wires up front, it'll shut off all the cameras. It'll also cause, you see there, that's green, it's going to cause a guard to come upstairs, and he just actually walks outside. He completely removes himself from the scenario as a whole. So a really great easy bonus, because you spend a fair amount of time in the basement running back and forth, checking in with, really the van comes in there and turning it in. So this is going to be that guard that comes out. I'll mark him just, and we'll check on him later. You'll see that he walks right out the front door. So one panel is going to be over by the security door for the garage door. There's a button in there, and then the other one's going to be there. Now, you see here that he is outside. That's the one we pinged earlier. Now we shut down the metal detectors. Once we shut down the metal detectors, we really have a couple of initial things to do. So we're going to need to get a QR code. We're going to need to get a media pass. Now the media pass is going to be on that person upstairs in overkill. If it's not an overkill, they could also be downstairs, but for my overkill runs, they always tend to spawn upstairs. Really doesn't matter, because you can run through these wings with relative ease. These are all public areas. We're going to do this entire thing unmasked. So we picked up that media pass. Now we're going to check here the west wing, and we're going to pick up a blue card. Now we're going to let ourselves in here. Now if you go upstairs versus downstairs, one, this will progress the story, but you'll also be able to find a phone sitting. It'll be on either sides of these seats that sit up here, but it's going to give you that QR code to get into the judge's chambers. Now there's really 2 spots in this entire heist that'll get you in trouble. Now, notice here that there's going to be 2 different things. One will be a keypad, but it'll also be a name. And so we'll come back to that here in a little bit, but there's a clerk's office that we'll have to pull a print from to get into it. So you want to check those. We're going along. Now, I'm going to expedite this and kind of kick this along here just to kind of speed things up. And we're going to go to the judge's chambers down here. Now this is one of those areas that's a little bit tricky. So there's going to be a guard in most of the runs that you have in Overkill, and he paths in a triangle. So the 2 pieces of this, one is a camera we just marked here, and you actually just are going to hack this camera. I'm going to cut it a little bit close. So you're going to see this guard, and we're going to see the guard path from this side, and when he's walking towards the camera, that's your chance to cut across and come over here. It's the easiest way to do it predictably. There's a couple of other ways that I've seen others do it. This is the most consistent for me. We will exit the same way. So activate that computer, undo the safe, and if you're like me, you're always going to mess this up at least once. Grab the USB, grab the phone code, and we're going to put this here into the keyboard. Now, on this email, the only thing we really care about on this email is the name. In this case, will be Stephanie Cobb. So write that down somewhere. Do what you will with that. So we're going to go off now to the clerks. And so again, we're waiting for that guard to path back and do a triangle. So it's going to go from that corner on the right, walk all the way across. He'll path kind of where he's at now. Typically, he walks back to the coffee machine and into the corner. And we're just looking to dip right behind him. There should be more than enough time to completely cross out. We don't need to worry about the camera, but we can't lollygag in the middle of there. So he's going to come back here again, just like when we entered. We were waiting for him to come out of that corner and walk to the camera, because he's really the only problem in that room. The camera's a nuisance, but it shouldn't be a showstopper for you.
There's a guard.
So there he goes. We're going to just kind of walk by, See again. Camera spotted us on the way out. Really not a big deal. This door's unlocked. As soon as you step on the other side, public area, you're completely in the clear. It doesn't matter what's happening. So now we're going to walk on over here to the clerk's office. Now, I always recommend coming in from the side, but while we're in here, come over and check this, because we're going to make sure there's a couple of locations. This will be on the whiteboard upstairs. We'll go over that here in a minute, but just check that as you're walking by. Make a mental note. Scan that QR code. Now, there is a layout. This is very static. So for Stephanie Cobb, that was given her name, and Beverly Kim, they actually have seats. So we're coming in through the QR door, you know, like we're getting money. And those two safes to the right of us, they can also have a code into one of those doors. You may have to unlock those. The sieves are not a problem against the window. They won't really see you. There's occasionally donuts up there as well, which is always super convenient. But we're going to come over here. We're going to unlock the computer. We don't have to hang out and watch anything. We can just walk away. What I didn't realize when I was recording this, Stephanie Cobb's in the office today. So she's sitting there for the moment. We need her fingerprints. We'll pull that right there off of the cup. She does path away at some point here, and we'll get up and walk away. But it is ironic that she happened to be there in this particular case. Civilian. And if she'd been a snake, she'd have bit me, right? So we activate that. We got the encryption key. Stephanie's now standing up, walking away from her desk. And it won't always be her. It'll be Trisha, like what's in front of us right now, or one of the others. So she'll usually hang out there. We can kind of just scoot along behind. The only other big one, and you'll see, we're just going to grab a fingerprint off of the coffee mug. What are you doing? And that could be a lot of different people in here. So we're going to scoot on out of this room the exact same way we came in. Nothing to worry about. If there is somebody standing at the window, be aware of it. But again, I've never had problems pathing in and around this. So if you're doing it in the initial room, there's digital evidence and physical evidence. Physical evidence is near the room where we are. Digital evidence is going to be upstairs. This is the second room that could possibly give you trouble. So we're going to use that fingerprint here. Make sure you wait until you're not observed. Don't pull a Kessney and pull this early with the camera watching you and you're observed and you get to start everything all over. Not speaking from experience, of course. There's going to be, I believe it's 4 servers in here. Now, this is one of those rooms that is a trial by fire. Once you unlock that door, security guards can and will path through this room. Do not stack up a bunch of bags behind like we'll do in the evidence room later. And I am accelerating this a little bit, so if it feels like it's sped up, that would be why. I stacked them up like this, and I did the entire room. Promptly ended up... don't mind the visual glitches. I'm not really sure what's going on with my video card. But, I ended up having, at one point, there were 5 guards pathing through that room, and pulling those servers out was an absolute nightmare. So when you're offloading bags, you get 2 options. One, you can throw them to the, your other people in your group. Which, that's, in this case, I've got Wolf, Dallas, and Chains. And oddly enough, I'm playing Hoxton, breaking out Hoxton. It's a little bit of a existential crisis, maybe. But, alright, and here you'll see that guard kind of pathing through the room. It's usually just one. And we just want to scoot around, and what we don't want is a bag sitting on top. That will attract his attention. If you're hacking it, he doesn't care. And in fairness, that tracks, I think, with reality generally. He also is a magician, and they tend to disappear out of this room rather quickly. So you see me spend a lot of time looking. And if you toss a bag on top like that, it does instantly load in the next bag, so you can kind of double up there. So we're going to continue kind of just swim through the room, grab our last 2 servers, and really between this and the judge's chambers, the only things that should give you any sort of trouble, it should be smooth sailing from here. So we're going to come in here, and again, this whiteboard is going to be up here. Write that code down, 1384. There could be a safe in this room as well that'll also have a red card, or the red card can be kept in the basement where the cell is. But, I mean, really, you would just get to the safe wherever that is. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward path, and there's not a lot of resistance in this. I mean, it feels a bit more procedural, kind of like a shadow raid from Payday 1, if you will. especially whenever you're doing this kind of unmasked. So we'll type in our code. Now, in here, you'd look at this whiteboard, or I guess it's a whatever, but there's going to be one of the letters that are circled, and they represent what row the evidence is in. So in order to progress this along, you'll need to pull that evidence out, decrypt the evidence, and then once you have Hoxton's evidence, the story will continue. But you should decrypt this entire room since you're here. It all counts for evidence, and that's really what gives between the servers and this evidence room. I mean, you're pulling out 1.7 mil, and really doesn't take all that long. You're looking at probably a half hour with only about 10 minutes of really solid effort. The rest of it's just rotating the evidence through either upstairs in the digital room or down here. So we're just gonna go pull these all out. I like separating them because until you find the evidence, it all becomes kind of routine. Once we find the evidence, we continue the story along as we're kind of pulling these bags out, and we'll start to actually do other things while we're rotating through this bags. Not this bag, but these bags, if you will. Now, Hoxton's evidence is the heaviest bag inside this entire heist. So you want to pull that one out, and I mean, I probably would hand that off to somebody as soon as I could in a typical sense. So it's the one that kind of has a metallic case to it. Oddly enough, I don't think we grabbed it in this run. We'll get it in the next one. But while those are decrypting, we're going to start sprinting on out. Try to keep rush on. So you'll see I'll tag up different people. But you also, I like using this phone because it's en route to the van. So you can kind of pull this out. This is going to take Hoxton out of the courtroom and pull him down into the cell so that you can start pulling him out. To open this garage and start activating the van to toss a loot in, you just push this button back here. If you didn't clip the wires, you can actually sneak up right behind that guy and reach around him. Not a big deal. Wouldn't stack the bags there because obviously those will be in line of sight of a camera. But just clip the wires. There's nothing to it. It doesn't require a pager or anything. That was actually a big tip I got from one of my viewers. Thanks for that. It's a life changer here on this particular map because you're not dealing with cameras between any of the map at that point. So we'll start throwing bags to our teammates. I typically, if they're upstairs, I'll throw it to them. If they're downstairs, I will pick them up and push them to a drop-off point and kind of just watch as they pass through. Also, I found out I kind of suck at throwing bags, apparently, because I missed 2. But, you know, can't be good at everything, or in my case, anything. I missed like 4, I guess. You saw the last one even there. I'm going to run back upstairs here. We'll start rotating through the bags. Now, as a time check, I mean, I'm 19 minutes in game time. Of course, we fast forward some of that here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to go get donuts. I don't recommend going out that door too much. You see that guard is right there. He can occasionally get a little suspicious. He will path into the room, and you'll have to deal with him. The donuts are in really 2 locations. One is here in the jury room. And I like waiting until that guard is in front of the window here. So we're actually going to pull out of this particular attempt here, and we're just going to keep pulling out bags until he rotates in front of that window. I don't know what those gauges are on the wall. It might be related to the loud version of this, and I've just never done this loud. I don't have any friends, I guess. Maybe the biggest problem here with this. My loud preference is really to do like the road rage where you go out, it's just a quick 15-20 minute heist that you can do loud. So we're going to close this door behind us. It just makes life easier. You'll see he's sitting here in front of the window. Nice and easy. And as he turns around, we just slink in, and we're going to go get the donuts.
Pop those donuts in the holding area control room. That should get the guard's attention.
This is the last time we need to be here in this. We'll throw this downstairs. The holding room is in the cells downstairs. If the safe is down below, follow the same path in and out. Super simple. We're going to pick up some more bags. So on slinking downstairs, you really have one big concern in the basement. That's going to be this initial camera here. It's the only one down here that'll really give you any sort of trouble. But a simple hack and to move in here makes this pretty simple as long as we got that blue key up front. If we didn't get it, it's upstairs in the west wing. Scan this on in. Now your safe will be back there in that corner where you see the safe is now. And we just slink and use peek around the corner, throw the donuts. Now the biggest thing is make sure that you get out of dodge and get to the other side. Now when these donuts are dropped, it will shut off these two cameras as well, which makes this room extra easy, if you will. And then at which point it's going to move the guard around. This isn't time sensitive. Run back up, get yourself some more bags, run another loadout while the guard is kind of running around. What's happening down there right now is there's a guard in front of cell 3 or 4. It's actually out there, I think, by the metal detector. He walks in, and at which point he's in there eating donuts, and he becomes out of commission. That is the guard I was talking about and why you don't want to use that door. So at which point here, we're going to loop around real quick, because of course we don't want him to see the bag. He doesn't really care about the decryption, but you don't see the bag sitting out there, because that'll grab their attention. So, not a great door to use. If you're feeling lazy and want to go on an adventure, go for it. Why not? It's your game. Play it how you want. So the guard's going to be in there. Now you see the numbers in the world, 3, 2. So at this point, we're going to come around the corner and we're going to hit cell 2. Now this could also be a key code, which will be written on the whiteboard there. And you go up and type in a code combo. It's the same thing. But slinking by this window, just push yourself up against this left side, stay crouched, and you'll walk right out. Bob's your uncle. We're done with the heist here at this point. So the only thing to get around this metal detector here, it's super secure. Just go ahead and lift up the little pass-through gate and walk around the metal detector. I mean, it seems like you could also jump over it, but for whatever reason, you can't do that whenever you're in an orange suit, apparently, and Hoxton. And not masked up, I guess. I don't know. We'll grab the last bag here. And we're done. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to grab all the bags here. I like the check boxes here, so secure all loot will go green, even though once they're on your guys, they're fine anyways. Thanks for going through this with me. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Reach out to me. Other than that, I hope your heists are successful and everything rolls in your favor. I'm on out of here. Thanks for watching.
I'll be damned. You got in and out of there without even raising suspicion. Some heads are gonna roll over this one down at the courthouse. See you all over at the safe house. And Houston, welcome back.